In this session, we'll begin to examine techniques that can be used to construct drawings that contain multiple orthographic views. We'll construct the first portion of the drawing of the locator part shown here. After choosing the Start from Scratch option, we'll select the default settings of metric. We'll now select the pull-down option, Tools, followed by selecting the Drafting Settings option. We'll change the spacing of the grid as well as the snap spacing to 10 in both the X and Y directions. We'll now click on OK to establish these settings. In order to make use of the grid and snap options, we'll switch them on by clicking on the corresponding buttons on the status bar. We'll now click on the Layers icon in the Object Properties toolbar to display the Layer Properties Manager window. We'll create a new layer named Construction that has a color of white and continuous line type. We'll also create a new layer named Object that has a color of yellow and continuous line type. We'll now highlight the layer Construction and then click the Current button to set it to be our current layer. Now we'll click on OK to accept the setting. We'll begin drawing construction lines by clicking on the construction line icon. And then we'll left-click the mouse twice to draw a vertical line. We'll now move the mouse to the right of the first location and then left-click again to draw the horizontal line. Now we'll right-click the mouse to end the construction line command. We'll now click on the Snap button in the status bar area to turn it off. The Offset command can be used to create construction lines that are parallel to the two existing lines, so we'll click on its icon. We'll now key in 125 as the offset distance and then select the vertical line. In order to indicate the direction, we'll make sure that the mouse is on the right side of the selected vertical line and then click the left mouse button once more. We'll now right-click the mouse to end the Offset command. Now we'll create a horizontal line that is 60 units above the existing horizontal line by repeating a similar sequence of commands. We'll continue the process of creating offset lines until we have the layout shown here. The construction lines define the outline of each of the orthographic views of the drawing. Prior to drawing lines that actually define the locator part, we'll left-click in the Layer control box and then left-click again on the Layer object to set it as our current layer. We'll now turn on Running Object Snaps by selecting the pull-down option, Tools, and then selecting the Drafting Settings option. Now we'll click the Object Snap On box to turn it on, and then make sure that the Object Snap modes, Endpoint, Intersection, and Extension are all checked. We'll now select the line icon and then draw lines that define the outline of each of the views. In this session, we'll continue the drawing of the locator part that we started in the previous session. We'll start by clicking the Layer control box and then turn the display of the construction layer off by clicking on its light bulb icon. We'll now click on the Offset icon and then create a line parallel to the bottom horizontal line in the front view. Now we'll right-click to end the Offset command. We'll now click on the Offset icon again and then create a line parallel to the vertical line in the front view. Now we'll right-click to end the Offset command. We'll now use the Trim option to clean up the two lines that we just created. In order to transfer geometric locations between views, we'll turn on Object Snap Tracking by clicking on its button in the status bar. Now we'll click on the line icon. We'll now position the cursor in the front view at the corner shown here. Auto Snap has automatically locked onto the corner, so as we move the cursor upward, the dashed line is aligned with this corner. Now by positioning the cursor over the horizontal line, we see the intersection symbol. We'll left-click the mouse to place the starting point of our line at this intersection point. and then move down and define the other end of our line. We'll now use the offset command to add two parallel lines that are offset a distance of 25 units. Now we'll right-click in the standard toolbar area and select the Object Snap option. We'll now draw a sloping line in the top view by first clicking on the line icon, and then clicking on the Snap From icon. We'll click on the lower right corner and then key in the relative coordinates at 0, 10. In order to define the other end of the line, we'll click on the Snap From icon again, and then click on the lower right corner and then key in the relative coordinates at -45, 0. This process is repeated relative to the upper right corner in order to create the sloping line at the top shown here. We'll now create a 25-unit diameter circle by also using the Snap From icon to define the location of its center relative to the lower right corner. We'll now use the Trim option to clean up the top view as shown here. And then finally, we'll add several lines using the Offset option and then make use of the Trim option to produce the drawing shown here. In this session, we'll draw the side view by transferring geometric information from the top view by using a miter line. We'll start by clicking on the Layer control box, and now we'll click on the light bulb icon of the construction layer so that objects contained on that layer will be displayed. Now we'll click on the construction layer so that it becomes the current layer. We'll now create our 45-degree miter line. The next step is to create a series of horizontal construction lines by first clicking on the construction line icon. And then we'll right-click the mouse to display the pop-up menu shown here. We'll select the horizontal option and then click on the end of the lines in the top view. We'll now use the Trim command to trim back the construction lines to the miter line. Now we'll create vertical construction lines that intersect our horizontal construction lines along the miter line. Several of the lines in the side view will need to be drawn as hidden or center lines. We'll create two new layers on which we'll place these lines. This is done by first clicking on the layer icon, and then clicking on the New button. We'll now create the layer named Hidden, and now create the layer named Center. We'll now set the layer Object as the current layer, and then create the required solid lines in the side view. Prior to drawing the two hidden lines, we'll specify the layer Hidden to be the current layer and then draw the two lines. Now we'll change our current layer to be Center and then draw the center line. We'll now turn the display of the construction lines off. By continuing with the steps described in the text, our drawing should appear as shown here.